Welcome back to the Bresh Crew Podcast. I'm your host, Dylan Grant. Along with me, as always, my co-host, Mark Gwynn, a.k.a. What the fuck accent is that? Today on the podcast, I don't even have to introduce this dude. Two-time World Rap Champion, two-time Scribble Jam Champion, King of the Dot once or twice, at least
King
once.
of the Dot once.
King of the Dot once. Two-time poker champ, I'm sure.
Yep.
We got Pete Bilzerian, a.k.a. TheSaurus.
Appreciate it. Appreciate it, bro. Yo, much respect. Thank you guys for having me. For
no
real.
worries, brother. I want to know how the fuck you even got into battle rap. What gets someone into battle rap?
Wow. It goes back like high school. Middle of the way through high school is like where I started freestyling, just kind of like to myself and with like my good friends. We had a small scene in my hometown where there was a couple of like, at the time, especially like really dope freestylers, people that I thought were like next level. This was like just when I had gotten a license and had my first job and shit. And these dudes kind of put me on to more underground stuff that I didn't necessarily have my ears open to at the time. I was just like a junior in high school, sort of figuring things out. So I was listening to what I had access to. I was listening to the Beastie Boys. The Chronic was like a game-changing album for me, for sure. And then kicking it with a couple of my friends who were already like freestyling and they were graph writers. They put me up on Freestyle Fellowship, which then like changed everything for me. And I was like, yo, I need to understand how to do that. So from there, I kind of just worked on the craft. We had like a local thing in my hometown called Freestyle Friday every week, where like a group of people would just meet up at a local spot. It started with just beatboxes and like instrumental tapes on a boombox. Eventually it got so popular that like a local coffee shop actually gave them a venue space. And they're like, if you guys have turntables, like bring them in, we'll make Freestyle Friday a thing. So it became like a local thing that I just watched until eventually I like felt I was ready. And I guess I probably waited a little too long because I like the first time I went up and performed there, I absolutely like shut shit down. And it was like in front of my idols too, like the people who were responsible for me even wanting to do it at that level. And then just getting that reaction, it was like, okay, well, I want to do this like everywhere we go. And I would enter battles as I could because I was like a pretty punchline-y freestyler, but they weren't super accessible really until I guess kind of like I refer to it as like the 8 Mile boom happened, because once that happened, battles became a thing anywhere that there was anything resembling a hip hop scene. Venue owners and promoters were like, oh, we can throw this and it's profitable and we have a crowd that's going to come through. We have people that are willing to compete and everybody wants to see it now, especially after the success of the movie. So, I mean, I was living in the Bay Area in California within like an hour and a half, 2 hour drive of San Francisco, 5 hour drive of LA, hour drive from San Jose. So I would make the drive to anything that I considered worth it. Like if the prize money was worth it for me to fill my gas tank and go and like get a hotel for the night somewhere, I was on it. So I started doing that, popping up at everything I could. And then eventually someone in my hometown, they saw me at like an open mic and they told me about this thing in Oakland called Tourette's Without Regrets, which was like a poetry slam, an open mic, and they had a monthly freestyle battle. And this place is literally like, I would say probably the most, like the guy who runs it, Jamie DeWolf, who is a super interesting guy in his own right, but I can get into that after. This guy is like the most probably largely responsible for me being like who I am and where I am today. He had so much faith in me and was like, dog, anytime you want to come up and enter, like I got you on gas money, I got you on food money, we just need you to be up here and be a part of this. So I went up there, I ended up winning like 10. Actually, the first time I went, I lost to their like resident in-house champion. I lost in like the final four to this guy, Aruku Saki.
There ain't never been a mold that I could fit inside.
I got something to tell the crowd. The real reason I'm yelling loud, I'm hella proud that I'm well endowed.
And then I was like, fuck that. I'm going back. Like, if anything, I just want to get stronger from the L and like, adjust to what I did wrong. And it was a very interesting hip hop crowd because it's also a poetry slam and an open mic, and they have like a feature performer. It's a really unique Bay Area college liberal crowd. So you couldn't, this was at a time where battle rapping, like people are dropping F-bombs left and right, of course. Yeah. But this is, it's battle rap 2004 or whatever. But this crowd, they were going to instantly boo you for things like that. So it took there was like an adjustment of like, okay, I have to present a more creative spin on things. You know what I'm saying?
Progressive.
And then I came back, won it. The next time I entered, I beat their last 5 past champions in a row to win it. And then I didn't lose for 10 straight months, just slayed everybody in my way. And pretty much created a name for myself in the Bay Area. And that was really what kicked it off for me as far as taking it seriously.
So it sounds like you guys were doing Freestyle Fridays before BET was doing Freestyle Friday.
Yeah, before it was a thing on TV for sure. And then eventually it became a thing on TV. You had the basement and shit like that. And then 106 in Park eventually became a prevalent thing.
So my first introduction to you, I used to hang out with these guys from Orangeville, which is near Toronto, and Mischief, and who was in King of the Dot for a while.
Okay.
And then two of his homies. So they introduced me to you probably when I was the same age as you were when you started. So a junior in high school. And I remember walking, I didn't see them for a couple of years, and I walked in their house, and the only thing up to this point, the only thing I was privy to was the BET Freestyle Fridays. And I walk in, and it's the battle where you're like, you know how much this shit is worth in Middle Earth? And I was like, what the fuck is this?
Like an orc after it died in Lord of the Rings, right? And you know Lord of the Rings when you spit your verse. Bitch, do you know how much this shit is worth in Middle Earth?
Fire.
And then from then on, it was just I followed you, and then all the other scenes as well. But
word. Yeah, that was the WRC shit was game changing. That was right around basically the inception of YouTube too. So it's I have footage, I have video camera and VHS footage of probably another 150 battles that no one's ever seen.
Jeez.
That have just never seen from those. I mean, 10 straight months at a venue winning their freestyle battle, which was tournament format. So it was between 16 and 32 people each time. It would always have to be an even number that would break down tournament style. But so we're talking about either 4 or 5 battles every time to win. So it's between 40 and 50 just there. And people have probably seen 11 or 12 of those, maybe. They've seen the best ones, but there's a lot of opponents that were so bad that the footage never saw the light of day, despite what I did. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, the dude Jamie DeWolf, who I was saying was an interesting dude, the guy who founded the event, he's the great grandson of L. Ron Hubbard, the founder. Yes, bro. And he is for his entire life, adult life, he's been top 10 enemy of the church because he's so outspoken against it, because he and his family know that it's a fake, you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. But Ron was a G. Yeah. He said he was going to make a religion, then did it, then
just to profit off of it. Yeah. And he did it. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, Jamie is like a national champion slam poet.
While every one of my aunts and uncles were taught how to use a gun, the son forced to live like his dad, permanently on the run until he changed his last name from Hubbard to DeWolf.
And he has multiple pieces that are about his great grandfather and the great scam that he pulled. And yeah, he's been top 10 enemy, on Inside Edition and shit, top 10 enemy of the church. Yeah, bro, it's crazy. He's a brilliant dude. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that's so wild to me. You know what I'm saying? To be that's the lineage that he comes from. But he's openly outspoken, oh yeah, he was batshit crazy and he was a con man. You know what I'm saying? So wild.
Do you know how many battles you've done to date? Ballpark?
I mean, it's got to be a minimum of 300. I always say that like whatever there is on YouTube, there's probably the same amount that nobody's seen.
Well, now
so
that you,
probably between 340 and probably like between 3 and 350, I would say. Something like that.
well,
I think that's a safe number.
Marvin Quest are going to get their hands on those tapes now that you said it publicly.
Clear it up once and for all.
Yeah.